What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Good Vibes Gaming discussion. I'm your host, Ash Paulson, and I'm joined today by my wonderful friends and GVG co-founders, Derrick Bittner and Steve Bowling, and we are here today to talk about what we all want to see in Sonic's next 3D game. Now, this topic was actually voted on by our patrons, so if you want to get in on that action, go check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming, and check out all the different tiers we have, and this particular perk, voting on our weekly discussions, is reserved for our patrons at the producer tier and above. But that said, let's go ahead and get going on this discussion. And, okay, so this was my topic, actually, that I introduced into the poll. And the way I kind of frame this, guys, is that obviously we all want to see a follow-up to Sonic Mania. That's not news. Everybody wants Sonic Mania 2, Sonic Discovery, whatever the hell they're going to call it. But what I've seen talked about at least slightly less is where Sonic should go next in his next 3D game. And there are so many different ways that, his next 3D game could go down. We could have a Sonic Adventure 3, we could, have the boost formula again. But I just thought it would be kind of fun to, instead of talking about how much we want Sonic Mania 2, because obviously we do, let's talk about, what we want out of Sonic's next 3D game. And I guess I'll start things off here since this is my topic, but I gotta say, I know it's been said a lot, but Adventure 3 or something thereabouts does really interest me a lot. And the reason I say that is because, back when Sonic 2006 happened and Shadow the Hedgehog happened, you could easily make the argument that the series was becoming too unfocused. It was, I hate to use the term Sonic's shitty friends because I happen to really like a lot of Sonic's friends. I like the expanded Sonic cast. But you could make the argument that there was too much focus placed on characters who aren't Sonic, right? And so after Sonic 2006, the series kind of consolidated behind Sonic himself again, and pretty much all of the major games from that point were focused on playing as Sonic himself. And I think that was the right move at the time. But now that we've done that for a while I do want to keep the focus on Sonic mostly, I'm ready to have a game where I can play a 3D Sonic game where I can play as Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, not big, but
what?
No,
you don't
not
go
big.
Frog hunting?
Froggy. No, I don't want to go frog hunting with Big. I'm good on that. But that's kind of where I'm at. I'm ready for another big, expansive 3D game where we get to play not just as Sonic, but as, a bunch of his friends as well. Of course, mainly talking about like the big ones like Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Shadow, stuff like that. But I've been talking for way too long now, so how are you guys feeling about this?
So I have an idea, but I'm going to let go Steve first. I want to hear Steve's first, just because I want to see where you two are coming from.
Yeah, and it's appropriate that you say where Ash and I are coming from, because I'm almost exactly of the same mind as Ash, which is
Nice.
really interesting on this. So I also want a Sonic Adventure 3. I wouldn't be too upset if Big was back, but so to expand on that, I do want it to focus on Sonic a lot more than the Adventure series has necessarily. I want Sonic to be, and he has been the main story in both of those games, but I'm thinking kind of something more akin to Sonic Adventure 1, where you have just selectable characters, right? And not teams. So you can play through each character, but Sonic is very clearly like the main story, and everyone else is a side story. But expanding on that further, I want each character to have like a radically different set of game mechanics, right? So the example that I think of in my head, and this also has to happen, if we get a Sonic Adventure 3, I also want classic Sonic to come in that, like in a generation style crossover. And I want like modern Sonic to have the traditional Sonic Adventure 3D gameplay, no boost formula, get that out of here. I don't want it. I just want like pure, like, I don't want to say skill based, because I feel like Sonic Adventure had enough glitches to where you can throw the idea of skill out the window for the most part. But I want like tight running mechanics in a 3D space with modern Sonic, but I want full on like 2D Sonic goodness with classic Sonic. I want, I don't want Knuckles to necessarily be like an emerald hunt. I want him to be a real character that isn't just searching for items.
Sure.
I want him to have his own unique set of like maybe like stages that are designed to be used with his unique capabilities. So, obstacles you have to punch or dig through. A lot of using his kind of, hover mechanics so that you can have like aerial stages where he has to like catch updrafts of wind a lot. Stuff that plays to the strengths of those characters. And get Tails out of the mech. He doesn't need a mech. He's a great character without a robot. Like, I
totally
just want,
agree.
I want Tails to be probably the only one that has his own story that hews closer to Sonic. But then the idea being that when you complete all of these stories, right? Like, let's just say you have 7 characters, right, that you can play as, and each one, their job in their main story is to get like a Chaos Emerald, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they bring them
that.
together once you've completed all of those stories, and bam, you get like the final true boss battle against, something on the order of, I don't want to see Chaos come back, but something on the order of Chaos, like a mega extinction level threat. And,
right.
Each character has to bring their Chaos Emerald to Sonic, or maybe Sonic and Shadow, and then they, take on their super forms and have to fight this gigantic threat in like some epic full-on space battle. Like, I am ready for this. Inject this into my veins. You can bring 3D Sonic back and in a good way. The question is, can Sega do it? But that's my broad take on what I want to see.
I love the sound of all that. But Derrick, what do you got for us, man?
Well, I'm hearing this, and you guys both want the Sonic Adventure gameplay, which I understand. I'm guessing you want Adventure 1 more than Adventure 2. Do you want to have those like level by level, or do you want it to have a bit more like hubs like Adventure 1 had? I'm just trying to get a sense of something.
For me, I'm definitely thinking Adventure 1. Adventure 2, I realized was a little bit more refined in certain, gameplay elements, and I realized that. And I know going back to it today, it doesn't feel as expansive, but at the time, Sonic Adventure 1 felt so huge. It felt so epic. The between Station Square, the Mystic Ruins, the Egg Carrier. I loved having that what at the time felt like a giant world to explore, with each character's story kind of crisscrossing with one another, and it just felt like an epic ensemble story. And Adventure 2, even though it is kind of a world-spanning story in its own way, it felt smaller because of the segmented, mission structure, act by act by act, and that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Sonic Adventure 2 tried its own thing, and it was also a good game, but Adventure 1 was where it's at for me, and that's kind of closer to what I would like this theoretical Adventure 3 to hew closer to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Ash. I feel like I really like the idea of connective tissue between the levels, kind of fleshing out the world, which, when I say it, connective tissue and flesh together is gross, but I love the idea of them actually making it feel like there is a whole world that Sonic takes place in that's all interconnected. Whereas I think that Sonic Adventure 2 makes it feel like a series of levels that you're just progressing through, similar to the 16-bit days. And while that's not a bad approach, it's not the one that I want for a new 3D Sonic game.
So I pretty much agree with you guys. I was curious because I have an idea for how this could work and feel different, yet still similar to what we're used to. Because I think going back to the adventure format makes sense. It's a lot of nostalgia there. It's a good way to capitalize on it. I don't know if it'll necessarily be called Adventure 3 or whatever, but it is a good idea. Now, I think the key point to all of this is those connective tissues, all those areas in between levels, because one of the most fun things about Sonic is just running a Sonic, exploring a Sonic, and to have a much more wide open field, a much more expansive place to explore and find secrets in and do things in, I think would make it feel, more like an adventure. And that's what the key, I think, is with this, is that if you're going to make an Adventure 3, why not pull the trigger and make it a full-on Metroidvania, where you have this expansive 3D world, and think of it like Arkham Asylum, and you're exploring this place, and as you explore, you unlock new things and new ways to traverse. And in my mind, that's how you bring in the other friends. You need to be able to scale this mountain. Well, I need to team up with Knuckles, and Knuckles will be able to get me up this mountain. I need to travel across this long gap, and I can't make it over there by myself. I got to go rescue Tails if I'm going to be able to do that. I need to bust my way through this thing. We need Amy and her hammer, or stuff like that takes advantage of those different skills, gives you a small opportunity to maybe play as them, or just have them come in for a sort of fun, help mode type thing, and all of a sudden you can access those levels or things right there. Because one of the things I've noticed from a lot of Sonic fan games recently is just putting Sonic in a big open place to just play around with his abilities, and that can be a lot of fun. And seeing Sega do that, had the production behind it, and really allowing you to explore would be a lot of fun. And even like maybe not have the characters playable in the main game, or maybe you can, but you need to find so many red rings, for example, the red star rings from for a couple of the games like Generations, and you can unlock those characters to play as in that mode and just sort of expand upon it. And I think that would be a way to both honor the past but also really push it towards modern gaming, and something that I think a lot of fans would really appreciate, to see Sonic have this new dimension to him, this new sense of exploration, and have each of the worlds feel interconnected, where it's not just a hub and you're going to these places, but more like Jak and Daxter, where it sort of just naturally flows into that level, and you get the set pieces and interesting things that happen. I think that could be a great way to push the Sonic adventure formula forward.
Interesting.
Man.
So
I like that pitch.
Yeah, I do too. I think the only thing I'm a little iffy on, I like pretty much everything you said, but you're thinking the play here is to only have Sonic's friends playable in like the main hub area, and then maybe as a bonus, unlockable bonus in the levels themselves, but not actually build the game around multiple characters and keep the main levels focused squarely on Sonic.
Mainly, yes, because we know what happens when Sega overreaches. And
fair enough. That's a good point.
I'm hearing Steve talk about we need to have 7 playable characters. I'm like, oh god, that's so many with each of their own different playstyles. That's ambitious. I like it. If they could pull it off, great. But we've seen that it didn't happen. So
the more I think about this, I think there's one thing that I really want to add that I feel like a new Sonic 3D game needs. Mm-hmm. So I want Sonic to crib from Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Odyssey. So we have this new generation of super fast loading consoles. Mm-hmm. I want the rings from the Sonic movie in a Sonic game as a level transition.
Do the sort of rift apart thing where you go through the rings and just bam, you're in that level.
Exactly. Like I want Sonic at the end of a level. I want to crank up to top speed and be running and have him just throw out a ring and it opens a portal and he just dashes through it. That would be like it's making the hairs on my arms stand up thinking about it.
I do love, I'm thinking of the visual of that right now, and that could be really damn cool. So then in that case, do you think then, I mean, because that specific thing has never been canonized in the games as we know them yet. So do you think instead then that you make that this game theoretically is based on the movie universe?
No, I think you could tie them together in a weird kind of way. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't necessarily think it needs to take place in the movie universe, but I think you can borrow from the movie universe.
Yeah, and the rings leading to other places is not out of the canon. Sonic 1's bonus stages.
Oh, good point. Very good point. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I keep thinking about, like, what would be a cool... Because Sega has to know. I mean, we opened this discussion talking about how much we all love Sonic Mania, right? And that comes from a love of 2D Sonic. Because 2D Sonic really captures the sense of speed that Sonic is known for in a way that 3D Sonic hasn't quite caught yet. And I keep thinking about things that I would love to see in a 3D Sonic that pay homage to those roots. And one of the things I would love is just, actually having like a signpost at the end of the level that you don't just hit and the level's over. Like, I don't need to see Sonic celebrate at the end of every level. I want to see him just blast past it and keep going. And the idea of having like a checkpoint at the end of the level and he keeps going, and then, you know, hell, maybe he throws out 2 rings and you can choose to go back to the hub world, or you can just keep going to the next level. And oh man, that would be so cool. Or even just in between large areas, right? Like maybe each set of objectives is its own sandbox, right? And Sonic can do what he, you know, you could choose to tackle any objective in any order, but then when you're done with it, you can, you know, once you've defeated the final, like the boss of that area, then you can go through a ring and end up in the next hub zone, right? And then find stuff from there. But oh man, I'm getting like, it's giving me flutters just thinking about the idea of a Sonic game where we make use of all the new tech that we have now, and we use it in a way that helps showcase his trademark speed. I hope Sega's working on something like this.
Man, me too. And it's funny, as you guys have been talking, I've been thinking about 2 games in particular. The first one is Sonic Jam, which you'll remember was that Saturn compilation of Sonic games. I think it was just 1, 2, and 3. I think it was just 1, 2, and 3. I can't quite remember. But it also had the first instance ever of Sonic in a 3D space. It had that little hub world where you could just, you know, explore, find cool little bonuses, and I'm thinking of that, but of course on modern tech, much bigger, much more expansive, and you could have one of those for each hub world, maybe. Or the other game I was thinking about was actually Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, and one of the things that game, one of the many things that game did so well was its hub world, which was kind of like in this case, it was an overhead view, which is not what we would want for this game, or what I would want for this game, but it was a hub world that connected to every main level in the game. But to get to those levels, of course, you had to solve little puzzles and affect things in the environment. And I'm thinking of something like that, but in a 3D Sonic context, where, as you were saying, Derrick, you use Sonic's various friends' abilities to get these things done and access various levels throughout the giant, expansive hub world that just gets bigger and bigger, kind of in a Metroidvania-esque way, as you progress through the game and rescue more of Sonic's friends, maybe get more abilities for Sonic and his friends, stuff like that.
Yeah. I like that idea. I think that I actually had that kind of in mind when I was thinking of this as well, just because that was a really good system. But there's another gameplay aspect from a Sonic game that I think could work for this idea of, you know, we say we want a massive hub or the massive world for Sonic to explore, but that's, again, a lot of assets, especially with how Sonic runs so fast. So maybe you can keep it a little modest and bring back this gameplay mechanic, I should say, the past future system from Sonic CD. And I think that would tie into the puzzles that you're talking about, Ash, where you do things do things in the past to affect the present, or go to the future in order to get abilities or objects that you need to solve in the present as well, and then have those different versions of each of the levels in order to see how they're different, and maybe go back and past, future, all that in the game itself. But I still think that would be really cool to bring back the time travel mechanic from CD, and seeing how they could really look into the puzzles or just mess with the way the world looks. And I think that could be really cool. Like, because all you really got from the past was like, oh, it's much more green, and future, oh, it's kind of crappy, but until you make it a good future, and then it's like, oh, cool. But I think expanding upon that could be a lot of fun.
Oh, man. Absolutely. And that ties in to the ring idea. Just, you know, that's something that wouldn't have been possible last generation, just to swap assets out for a whole level on the fly. So right. That would be a great use of all these modern innovations we have. Yeah,
you get that speed built up, toss out the ring, and then bam, back in the past. Like, you got past rings and future rings.
I do hate to be like I don't want to like crap on anybody's party here, but I was thinking that, you know, this is Sonic, right? And generally Sonic is multi-platform. So unless we're planning on making this game PS5 and Xbox Series X exclusive, I don't know how technologically possible this would all be on Switch, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. It would not be a Switch game. It's sort of like how Sonic Unleashed had a completely different version on the Wii, or how Not every game appeared on the Sonic game appeared on the Wii U, that sort of thing. You just have to sacrifice that sort of Switch dynamic. But I think you could make something really fun with that better hardware.
Yeah, I think it, when I think of an adventure game too, I think of a game that exists like on the highest end hardware available, because I mean the Dreamcast at the time was the most powerful console on the market. Sonic Adventure 2 got ported to the GameCube, which again was back when Nintendo was in like the technological arms race, so to speak. So yeah, when I think of adventure, I think of it as like Sega's AAA cutting edge effort, when it comes to Sonic. And don't get me wrong though, if they made a Switch version, I'd love for it to be a 2D demake of the whole thing. But
that'd be cool. I have an alternate idea. If we want to go into a Switch specific possible game, I think it'd be a lot of fun to kind of revisit the idea of Sonic Unleashed and do what they should have done in the first place. Instead of a freaking werehog, give me Sonic and Knuckles 2. And have Sonic do his thing, and then have Knuckles take over to beat up enemies. Use those punches, use those fists, and really take advantage of that. And I think that could be a lot of fun to have that sort of combination of beat 'em up and speed action, and not have a werehog, and maybe even add in some extra ones. Maybe different people beat them up. Like Amy could probably be part of the beat 'em up, and have Tails do some of the speed levels if you want to have those different characters. And I think that would be completely feasible on the Switch and other consoles. But if we want to have something that didn't require the SSDs of the PS5 and Series X, I think that's the way you do it.
I like that. Well, we have all been talking about everything we would like to see and all the ideas we would like to see implemented, but I'll introduce one right now that straight up I would not want to see in the next 3D Sonic game. And maybe some people might not like this, I don't know, but straight up, I don't want to see classic Sonic in this game. Or in the next 3D Sonic game. Or, well, and here's the reason why.
Did you play Forces, Steve? Because that would turn you off of classic Sonic.
That's the thing.
I did not. I own it, but I very intentionally chose not to play it.
Classic Sonic was really mishandled.
He was easily the worst part of that game, and it's a shame. It's not. I don't say this because I dislike classic Sonic. I love classic Sonic, but Sega themselves mishandled classic Sonic and Sonic Forces so grievously that I just want to see them leave that idea behind. I mean, I thought the whole Generations idea was fantastic. I thought Generations was a great game, and I loved the idea that classic Sonic had traveled through time, and it was the same Sonic interacting with one another. But then Sonic Forces had to go screw everything up and kind of retcon everything such that classic Sonic is a different character from a different universe or timeline or whatever. And he's not the same Sonic it's not like the same Sonic in two different periods of his life. It's two different Sonics, and they're treated as a different character. It was dumb. It was dumb at the time. It's dumb now.
Leave classic Sonic to Mania.
Exactly. Leave classic Sonic to Mania, and just let him do his own thing. Plus, as much as I did enjoy the classic Sonic levels in Generations, they kind of, and this was kind of Forces' whole MO anyway, it took everything that was so good in Generations and somehow made it worse in Forces. The classic Sonic levels in Forces are way worse than any of the classic Sonic levels in Generations. Like, the physics are different. He doesn't feel like the physics, the momentum feels different. It's a mess. And so
disappointing.
It really, you should play it, man. I'd love to hear your reactions to.
I have it on Switch, so maybe I will, and we can bring that back in the next time we're talking about Sonic.
But just leave classic Sonic out of it. Let modern Sonic do his own thing in this game with the modern versions of his friends, and just keep classic Sonic to Mania, as Derrick said.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. I will say one a friend that I think needs to be put back into the spotlight in a major way is Blaze. Blaze needs some love.
Absolutely. Yeah.
She was a great addition, and then ever since like Sonic 06, it's like we don't know what to do with her.
Yeah, because that was another thing. They retconned her. She had a really cool origin story in Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventure. And then they just retconned all that in Sonic 06 and they tied her story to that of Silver's. And sorry, Silver fans, I hate that character. I can't stand
Yep.
Silver.
I think you can make him
Iblis
good,
Trigger,
but yeah.
Shut up, man. I don't want to hear you say Iblis Trigger ever again. I just can't stand that character. So leave Silver out of it. Bring Blaze in, hell yeah, but I don't want to see Silver in this game anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Blaze would be a cool character to see return. I really love the Sonic Rush adventure games, and it would make sense if it was a Sonic Adventure 3 to bring those games together. You know, kind of officially canonize those in a way.
How do we feel about the chaotics? Like, would we want to see like how expansive? Let's say we're having multiple playable characters here. How expansive are we talking? Are we just talking Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Shadow and Blaze?
I think you keep it as close to like the mainstream base Sonic crew, because otherwise, you know, I hate to say it, but when you start getting too out there with the folks that are in the game, you risk alienating people that feel like, oh, I don't know enough of the Sonic lore to really get into this. And honestly, the thing I want the most, I would love to see the more extended Sonic crew in an eventual follow-up to whatever this next 3D Sonic is. Because while I like those characters and I'd love to see them, I think that, you know, you almost have to do a Sonic Mania with the next 3D Sonic. Like, take it far back to its roots to make people that have been away for a long time more comfortable with it. And then when you do the inevitable follow-up, you introduce them to some of the deeper cuts.
Right. Get Ray and Mighty playable in a 3D context for the first time.
No, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I were to have chaotics in there, I'd probably make them more like side quest givers, like they're investigating things and like, hey Sonic, if got a tip, if you do this, we'll be able to get this and get that side content type of thing. Still have them in there, still have their personalities and whatnot, but not necessarily playable. As far who you make playable, that's tough because Shadow is, you know, just as popular as Sonic, but differentiating him from Sonic is really hard, and that's something we'd have to think of. It'd be more of, I mean, you could try the dual stories and have Shadow do his own thing, and Sonic do his own thing, and then come together in a final story if you really want to have that method. And just kind of limit how many buddies Sonic has help him. Like, you know, Sonic, of course, gets the typical Knuckles and Tails to get through things. Maybe Blaze. And then Shadow gets Omega and Rouge. But I feel like it just becomes kind of like expected at that point. So I feel like there needs to be something new to do with Shadow. And maybe maybe you get like recruited to help Gun with their some things, since Shadow's a Gun agent, and then just because they're so competitive against each other, it's Sonic versus Shadow to get this thing done. I don't know, just to throw it out there, because obviously people love Shadow, so he needs to be there in some form, but how do you do it? That's the tough part.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that one of these playable characters would need to be Shadow. And I do love, kind of circling back to an idea you mentioned earlier, I think it was Derrick, that it'd be 7 playable characters. Maybe
that was Steve. That was Steve.
Sorry, Steve. Yeah, it was you. 7 playable characters, each one going after their own Chaos Emerald. And I love that idea. And so I think the idea of having 7 playable characters in this roster makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you know, I can't believe I'm going to be the one to bring this up, to use this specific reference, but I do agree with Derrick that the differentiation between Shadow and Sonic is a really difficult thing to make if you want the gameplay to be varied, right? And we know Sega. There's a good chance that they just won't care. But if they did, what if Shadow was like the Proto-Man to Sonic's Mega Man? Like, just showed up at some key points to help him out along his way? You know, or maybe even at some moments you took control of Shadow, like Sonic gets knocked out and Shadow has to fight off a bunch of enemies to help Sonic. And then, you know, you go back to playing as Sonic, right? And then at the end of the game, when you have all 7 emeralds, Shadow and Sonic team up like they did in Sonic Adventure 2 in their super forms to help, you know, take out the big bad at the end.
I personally would be okay with that, but I just don't think that could ever be realistic, only because, you know, Sega knows what sells, right? And as we pointed out earlier in this discussion, Shadow is more or less as popular as Sonic. Shadow's just such a hugely popular character that I don't know if Sega would be willing to not have him playable, just because that would be such a major selling point for all the Shadow fans out there.
He is absolutely the Vegeta to Sonic's Goku.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
He is equally popular. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can have him in kind of a guest partner role like that and not fully playable on his own. But I also agree, though, with both of you that also introduces the challenge of how do you differentiate the two, because they are, by their nature, very similar in abilities.
What if they give him back the gun?
I was just about to say, they could give him back his guns.
No,
and
why?
I feel like they could probably, because that's the thing. I never heard anybody say anything bad about the actual gameplay of the guns. It's just the game itself and had structure. Like, apparently the gunplay was pretty decent.
I just imagine like the dissonance there. Like Sonic runs and jumps, and Shadow literally just has a pump action shotgun.
Yeah, like I don't ever want to see Shadow carrying an AR again. I just don't. It was just so weird. I feel like that should be confined to that game and that game alone. But how else do you differentiate the two? I mean, Shadow does have his chaos control powers, and he could do some cool warping and stuff, I guess. But at the end of the day, they're pretty similar.
You know what you could do to differentiate them? Okay, let's just run for a minute with this narrative of each character has a Chaos Emerald together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shadow has been abducted by Eggman and experimented on. He steals a Chaos Emerald at the beginning of his campaign, and his quest, unlike everyone else, is to escape with a Chaos Emerald.
Oh, I like
so
that.
instead of using the same powers that Sonic does, he manipulates the Chaos Emerald to do like all kinds of different attacks and maneuvers. Like Eggman has augmented his chaos control, and now with a Chaos Emerald in his possession, he has all kinds of new abilities. Like everyone else has their abilities. Like Shadow's adventure is almost more like a Devil May Cry kind of game. Like he is
I dig that.
I like that.
Off the wall, doing crazy stuff like creating energy beams, manipulating, fighting off swaths of Eggman's robots to get back to Sonic with this, because he's been inside. He knows what Eggman is planning. He knows what calamity is coming, and he has to bring this back because he knows that the power of Super Sonic will be needed to face off this impending threat. That would be cool.
Love that idea.
Well, even that, just
really
like
cool.
he's trying, just again, just an endless chase where he just put him to the point of exhaustion, because I don't think he willingly wants to join up with Sonic, but he's just constantly trying to get away from Eggman and just puts him in line with Sonic, type of thing. Just kind of stay true to his, Vegeta character.
Anti-hero character, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Now, the more we talk about this, the more I'm like, let me direct this game.
No, I do. I do love that. Sega, all these ideas are free, man. Like, you got all these ideas for free. Bring all three of us in. We'll make your next 3D Sonic game for you. We got this. But of course, to Shadows, let's say all these campaigns are numbered. Maybe you have to play them in order. If they are, we know Shadows has to be the fourth campaign, right? Because of that fourth chaos. It has to be the fourth campaign.
So for if we go with Steve's idea, our 7 characters would be Sonic, Shadow, Tails, Knuckles, Blaze, Amy. Who's our 7th?
I feel like if Shadow ends up escaping Dr. Eggman, that leaves, Gamma off the table.
You mean Omega?
Or Omega, sorry.
Yeah.
Omega's off the table.
Just to keep it, in the interest of keeping it gender balanced, I do like the idea of the 7th character being Rouge, but I also know she's not necessarily the most popular choice either. So
What about what's her name? Tikal or Kareem, maybe?
Tikal's kind of dead.
Yeah, she's, yeah. It depends on, I guess, how much you care about keeping this canon to previous games. But yeah, Tikal's pretty much dead.
Cream could work.
Cream would be interesting, just because she was she was utterly devastating in Sonic Advance 2. Like, she is a broken character in that game.
That's true. I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess you could have SBO, but again, I feel like with SBO, Ray, Mighty, Charmy, Vector, all of them is maybe getting a little too far away from the core cast that will appeal to just the layperson, right, and not just to hardcore Sonic fans.
Right.
Bring in Princess Sally and make her canon.
Nice. I love that idea.
Except not even Sonic's an Archie anymore.
That's
I know.
true.
You could bring in Tangle, I think. That's a popular new character for the IDW comics. So
Could bring back Marine from Sonic Rush Adventure randomly. That there's really no reason to do that. I guess, you know what? As much as I hate Silver, and I do, his theme song was a bop, though. Dreams of an Absolution. Yeah. And so maybe Silver
if they could find a way to
in,
make his gameplay work.
yeah. Maybe Silver gets in just on the strength of his theme song alone, because that was a banger. But yeah, I'm torn between, I guess, Rouge and Cream being the 7th one. Man, that's hard.
Honestly, I don't mind the idea of. I think again, it's the two new characters are Tangle and Whisper, so I think, Tangle's a lemur. I think that might lead to some interesting gameplay, and have that kind of crossover there. And I believe, she is pretty popular.
Oh,
so
yeah. Or we keep saying it has to be an existing character, but one of the hooks of this game could be a brand new character, like they did introduce Marine with Sonic Rush Adventure and things like that. So it could be a new character, maybe.
Yeah,
that could be its own draw, but that also could maybe push people away as well if it's not just characters that they know and love. So I guess maybe the safe choice, loath as I am to admit it, I guess maybe the safe choice here is Silver. Just because, despite how I feel about him, I know that he is a relatively popular character. I mean, I'm actually shocked by how many people I've talked to who are like, Ash, how can you not love Silver? And I'm like, well, let me count the ways. But there are people who really, really like him, and more than you think.
I think the other games and the comic, Ian Flynn does wonders, man. And Ian Flynn did some fun things with Silver.
That's true. No,
they made him a very innocent boy.
Yeah, that's true. But then you also then have 4 hedgehogs, right? And you got Sonic, Amy, Shadow, and Silver. You got 4 hedgehogs in the main cast.
Well, that's what
so maybe not.
I keep going back to do it. Let's bring in Tangle. I'd love it. Yeah. She's already appeared in Sonic Dash and Sonic Force's speed battle, so
that's true. Or Bongo the Danimals monkey. There's also
there's that.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a given. He's DLC.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I think we've all come up with a lot of. I love that it kind of exploded into all the different directions it did, because it started with Sonic Adventure 3, but then you guys introduced some really great concepts I hadn't thought of, and I just love how this is all coming together. Now we just need Sega to give us the keys to the castle.
If only.
Yeah, I mean, if Takashi Iizuka wants to call us, we're ready.
Yeah,
we're ready to take the reins.
I won't say these are complete ideas, but I think we could bang them out into something pretty fun.
Yeah. One thing I would like to see happen with this is give me the dream for the soundtrack. Give me the dream team team up of Jun Senoue and T. Lopes. Let them co-create.
That'd be cool.
The whole soundtrack together. You bring T. Lopes' classic style influence from Sonic Mania. You get Jun Senoue's modern, all the guitar riffs, all the, the rock style, and you bring them together. And of course, Crush 40 has to do the theme song. That is number one, bottom line. Yeah, you can't have this game without a Crush 40 theme song. So, yeah. Well, I think these are all pretty great ideas. Anything else you guys want to bring up before we wrap up here?
Sonic Mania 2 also, please.
Yes, that goes without saying. Sonic Mania 2 needs to happen, I would say, even before this. That's the first thing that needs to happen. But I really do hope that Sega can, and Sonic Team specifically, can figure out where to take 3D Sonic from here. Obviously, they're already working on what's next. I mean, I guess we don't know that for sure, but it's pretty likely they are and have been for a while. But Sonic Forces was just such a misfire in so many ways, and just such a weird left turn. I mean, obviously, Sonic has a checkered history with game releases, especially 3D Sonic. That's not new. But the fact that Forces specifically was developed as kind of a follow-up in a way to Generations, but did everything Generations did worse, was just, and especially considering how long it was in development, it was such a weird, just misfire for the series. And as we would all agree, people love to say, 3D Sonic is always bad. That's not even close to true. I mean, even if you want to go back and say Sonic Adventure doesn't hold up today, and certainly it's just riddled with bugs and glitches. It's it's pretty messy. I still enjoy playing it, But, then you go to a game like Sonic Generations, or even the day half of Sonic Unleashed. Those are really great games. They're really fun. And, so, 3D Sonic can work. Sonic Team has proven it, and I do believe they have the capability to prove it again. I just hope they can figure it out, because Sonic Forces was not it, man.
Nope.
I think the reason things might have stalled in a way that we haven't seen before with 3D Sonic with Forces is that it wasn't bad. It was just boring. And we don't really have boring Sonic games. There's always something to talk about with them. Whether it's the weird mechanics of such as Unleashed or Heroes, or just the absolutely insane things that go on, like in Sonic 06. And I think that
Right.
kind of keeps it in check there. But Sonic Forces is so rote with wasted potential and just kind of dull, then I think that's why it kind of stalled. It's we've not had dull Sonic before.
Yeah, I mean, even Sonic Lost World, as uneven as it was, had the parkour thing going for it, and just and the weird kind of like spherical or cylindrical level designs.
And that parkour would work really well with, I think, the 3D exploration that I offered up.
I think so too. Sorry, Steve, you're going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, I think that 3D Sonic, the most disappointing thing about 3D Sonic to date is just its untapped potential. There is so much that I think Sega has left on the table, that I would love to see them, take an honest look at it and reevaluate what 3D Sonic should be. I think they've had some great ideas from time to time, but I would say no single game in the series has truly captured the feel of what fans expect from Sonic. And I know that sounds weird, but when you think about going from Super Mario World to Super Mario 64, that felt like a Mario game. Despite the fact that it was, completely different mechanically, it felt familiar. And I don't think Sonic has ever got to that point. I think they've come close, but they've never quite nailed it. So I think that there's a lot you could do, but I think the key, is I think it's providing that feeling of speed and freedom that Sonic is so good with in 2D. But also, if you're going to go the adventure route, making sure that the characters don't all feel samey. And I think that that's something that they still have yet to quite nail. I can't speak to Forces because I've skipped it, but I think after this I'm going to go back and play it so I can kind of feel where Sonic's at today, because that's something that I don't really have perspective on.
I mean, I guess you could probably make the argument that the boost formula that was introduced in Sonic Unleashed and I think was probably perfected in Sonic Generations kind of is that for Sonic, like what you were saying about how Mario still felt like Mario in the transition from the 2D games to Mario 64. I feel like the boost formula in 3D, at least for me as a Sonic fan, did capture the true feeling and speed of Sonic in a gameplay context. But Sega have also gone on the record several times since then and talked about how difficult it is to make those kinds of games because of the just sheer amount of assets that need to be created, because Sonic is so fast and covers so much ground in such a short amount of time that requires a lot of asset building.
Yep.
So
I think that's again why I offered up mine, because you have one set asset, you just run across it. You don't have to worry about building a bunch of new ones, typically. Other than the fact that if we go with the past and future mechanic, but either way, these are pie in the sky. Any combination of these elements, I will be happy with.
Same.
Absolutely.
Well, Sega, we hope you're working on whatever you're working on. We hope it's going to be cool. We hope it gets announced soon. It's been too long without a new Sonic game being announced, 2D or 3D. But whatever it is, I know all three of us are going to be ready and excited to check it out and play it, because we're all big Sonic fans here. But with that said, I do think that brings us to the end of this discussion. So, as I said at the beginning, this topic was voted on by our patrons at the producer tier and above on our Patreon. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, head on over to patreon.com/gvgaming and check out all the different tiers and rewards and stuff we have on offer. It's a lot of fun. And but even if you can't support us on Patreon, if you could just drop a like and a subscribe and ring that bell, that helps us more than you realize. So we'd really appreciate it. Also, our main news show, Today's News Tonight, is on every major podcast service around the world. So, if you are, if you've seen TNT and you like it, do know that you can get that on every major podcast service in an audio-only format. But with that said, we're done for today, so we will see you for our next weekly discussion. And until then, bye.
Cool.